The CIA wasn't just spying, it was overthrowing governments. When you think of the CIA, what comes to mind? Men in suits, surveillance, secret documents. But what if I told you that the CIA, an agency sworn to protect America, has overthrown governments, assassinated elected leaders, armed death squads, and left millions in the wake of war, dictatorship, and silence? Not enemies, not terrorists, but democracies. These aren't rumors, these are operations, declassified, documented, and deadly. Welcome to the Ture Archive. Today we reveal 10 CIA-backed coups that changed the world, forever. How covert coups shaped the world and destroyed democracies. History is often told through flags and parades, through victories and noble ideals. But there is another side, the hidden history, the manipulated history, a history where elected presidents are replaced by puppets, where peaceful protests are replaced with tanks, where nations that once dreamed of independence were plunged into chaos, all for the sake of stability and American interests. This story is not just about the past, it's about how we got here, and why the world still burns from decisions made in boardrooms and briefings decades ago. Number 1. Iran, 1953. The coup that birthed a revolution in the early 1950s, Iran stood on the edge of a new future. Its leader, Mohammad Mossadegh, had been elected by the people and revered for his integrity. His boldest move, nationalizing Iran's oil industry, taking it back from the British. That move enraged the UK, and soon the US joined them. The CIA launched Operation Ajax. They bribed officials, hired thugs to start riots, and spread lies in newspapers. Within days, Iran's streets turned chaotic. By design, Mossadegh was overthrown. The Shah, a pro-Western monarch, was put back on the throne, ruling with brutal secret police and torture chambers. For the West, it was a win. For Iranians, it was the beginning of the end, a betrayal that fueled the 1979 Islamic Revolution and decades of US-Iran hostility. One coup, one crack, a region fractured forever. Number 2. Guatemala, 1954. Fruit, fear, and the fall of democracy in Guatemala. President Jacobo Arbenz dared to do the unthinkable, redistribute unused farmland to the country's poor. But that land belonged to an American giant, United Fruit Company, whose ties reached deep into the White House. So the CIA went to work. Codenamed Operation PB Success, they trained exiles, dropped propaganda from planes, and launched a psychological war that made Guatemalans believe their president was a Soviet pawn. He wasn't, but the lie stuck. Arbenz resigned. A military dictatorship took over. Within years, Guatemala spiraled into a 36-year civil war. Over 200,000 people died. Most were indigenous Maya civilians. Their crime? Living on land others wanted. This wasn't a war. It was corporate protection, enforced by the world's most powerful spy agency. Number 3. Congo, 1960. Dismantling Africa's hope. The Congo had finally broken free from Belgium. The hope of the continent rested on one man, Patrice Lumumba, Congo's first prime minister, a voice for African unity and sovereignty. But the CIA feared Lumumba might go communist, so they conspired with Belgium to remove him. Lumumba was captured, beaten, executed, and his body dissolved in acid to hide the crime. His killers were trained and supported by the West, and in his place rose Mobutu Sese Seko, a dictator who looted the country for decades while being backed by US aid. Congo's dream of independence was buried with its leader. Number 4. Brazil, 1964. Democracy traded for dictatorship. President João Goulart supported workers, land reform, and education. He was no communist, but the CIA painted him as one. They funneled millions to opposition parties, funded protests, and supported a military coup. The Brazilian military took power, and for 21 years Brazil was silenced under dictatorship, torture centers, mass surveillance, thousands of political prisoners, and US support every step of the way. To the people, it was oppression. To Washington, a success. Number 5. Chile, 1973, September 11th. Before 9/11, it was September 11th, 1973, and fighter jets flew over Santiago, Chile. Inside the presidential palace, Salvador Allende, Chile's elected socialist leader, gave his final speech to the nation. Moments later, the military bombed him. Allende was dead. Democracy, gone. The CIA had spent years funding strikes, fake news, and sabotage, all to destabilize Chile and remove Allende. The man who replaced him, Augusto Pinochet. His rule, 1,000 killed, 1,000 tortured, children taken from families. It was a U.S.-engineered nightmare, all in the name of preventing communism. Number 6. Indonesia, 1965. The hidden genocide. The numbers still haunt history. Over 500,000 people murdered. Farmers, students, artists, labeled as communists, and executed en masse. The CIA gave Indonesian generals kill lists. Those lists were used with brutal precision. The rivers ran red. The soil drank blood. The U.S. called it a major victory. But to the families of the dead, it was genocide. To this day, there has been no justice, and most Americans have never heard of it. Number 7. Iraq, 1963. The seeds of Saddam before Saddam Hussein's iron grip. There was Abdul Karim Qasim, a nationalist who wanted Iraq to control its oil. The CIA helped the Ba'ath Party stage a coup. They handed over lists of communists and leftists to be executed. In the chaos that followed, Saddam Hussein rose from the shadows. The irony? Decades later, America would wage war against the very monster it helped create. Number 8. Haiti, 1991. Silencing the priest. President Jean-Bertrand Aristide was not a general. He was a priest. He spoke for the poor. He won Haiti's presidency in a landslide. Months later, a violent coup removed him. The U.S. publicly condemned it. But secretly, some of the coup's architects were on the CIA payroll, trained in America, funded by America, and once again the Haitian people lost their chance at justice. Number 9. Afghanistan, 1980s. Operation Cyclone and the blowback. The Cold War turned Afghanistan into a battlefield. The CIA's Operation Cyclone became its longest covert war. Billions went to arm the Mujahideen, including Osama bin Laden. Yes, that Osama. The mission, bleed the Soviets. And it worked. But after they won, the fighters had no enemy. They became the Taliban. And from their ranks, Al-Qaeda was born. Weapons meant to fight communism were used in 9/11. The blowback was catastrophic. Number 10. Libya, 2011. From intervention to collapse, Gaddafi was no saint, but under his rule, Libya had stability, free healthcare, and the highest HDI in Africa. In 2011, under NATO cover, CIA-supported rebels took up arms. Within months, Gaddafi was executed on camera. But what came next was chaos. Libya collapsed. Arms flooded into terrorist groups. Militias rose. Slave markets returned. A country once rising, reduced to ruins. The West declared victory. The people inherited destruction. Reflection. What these coups really cost. These aren't just stories. Their lives, millions of them, each coup, a scar, each leader removed, a voice silenced, each regime propped up, a crime endorsed. The CIA acted in the name of democracy, but it destroyed it again and again. Expose the truth. Subscribe for more hidden history. If this video challenged what you thought you knew, if even one of these stories opened your eyes, then join us. Like this video, subscribe to the Ture Archive, and turn on notifications because truth this raw isn't shown on the evening news. Every week we expose the hidden past, the one that still shapes our present. Drop a comment. Which CIA coup shocked you the most? We read every single one. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, stay awake.